As Kristen alluded to, I'm Joe Aiken, tech rep out of the Great Lakes in Canada. And I actually volunteered to do this because as an arborist in the field for as long as I have been, I understand that the spring is a tough time of year to get things going. And there's a lot of treatments that we're transitioning to the end of the season, late season, that are just as effective, that may spread out your treatment window. So we're going to jump right on into exactly what I think and Arborjet thinks would be good additions to the end of the year in your plant healthcare program. One of the things, I want to talk about some of the new tools that we have, which we're going to talk about because they're great additions to your program, but they're phenomenal things to be doing this time of the year. But I don't want to forget the value of your stem injections late in the season. I remember when I first got into the business, all trunk injections were done in the spring and the summer because you were relying on transpirational pull. And it wasn't so much that the transpirational pull and the physiology of the tree, it was a lot of the compounds and how the compounds move through the tree. A lot of that has been advanced thanks to a pretty amazing research department at Arborjet, that we figured out that a lot of these compounds that we developed had residuals, so we could inject them at just about any time of the year. Some of the main things that a lot of my customers and a lot of people in the field are wrapping up right now is chlorosis, either soil applied remedy or stem applied. You can still be injecting for chlorosis right now. One of the big things that I know a lot of my compadres out there are doing is diplodia, pines, evergreens, bark beetles. The most important thing to understand with that is that we discovered that you have to eliminate resin flow to get product in a resinous conifer. So with the research with Michigan State, we found that late season applications in resinous conifers work best in the later season. So it's still kind of even early for that, but end of the year, when it starts to get more like 45, 50 degrees, is a perfect time to be doing resinous conifers. And believe it or not, with the compound emamectin, our triage line, late season for emerald ash borer, and now is a very viable treatment. So tree injection is still rolling along pretty strong right now, and right until you can't get it in again. End of the year, late season, evergreens, probably right up until the soil freezes, I would still recommend that you could probably get them in. One of the most exciting things that happened within the walls of Arborjet in the last year was the acquisition of the Supersonic Air Knife. The Supersonic Air Knife is a pneumatic soil excavation tool. A lot of arborists in the field have used a tool very similar to this, or have used this one. It's just phenomenal. And the value of this tool is underutilized in arboriculture. There's two major concerns in urban landscapes. And the number one concern in urban landscapes is compaction. So here's your opportunity with a tool that is actually designed to do a few processes within the soil underneath trees, and using the Supersonic Air Knife is the tool to do it. So we're going to kind of dive into a little bit about the Air Knife and kind of go over it. Oh, you got to hit the right button. So what is really amazing, and again, I did a demonstration yesterday with this, and it was raining and it was muddy, but the air, it comes to be, you have to use a toe behind compressor, which some of you may already know. But the air, because of the patented nozzle, comes out of that device. You need 185 CFM of air. So it's not a high pressure air. It's about 120 to 150 PSI, but it comes out in such a bulk, which is channeled down through the device out the nozzle at Mach 1.7. So it's the speed and the volume of the air that can fracture soil and not damage fibrous root hairs. Which I found out yesterday is that it's tough to go through turf with it because turf fibrous root hairs are so close to the surface. You can fracture all the soil underneath turf, but the turf still sits there all wadded up. And that'll come into play when we talk a little bit more about the AirKnife. So root excavation, relocations, I've replanted trees with this, and I've actually dug holes with this device other than using a shovel. And I like using it to dig holes is that it fractures the wall of the building or the planting site. A lot of guys will glaze the side with a shovel, and a lot of big landscape jobs, they'll actually auger a hole in the ground and they'll glaze the side of the planting hole, and you create a teacup effect. And the tree's pretty much going to struggle for its roots to go past that from day one. Another thing an arborist can upsell or move to is getting hold of contractors, pipe installation, irrigation head repair. If you do have a planting and you're trying to locate gas, electric, optic lines, it's a great tool to be used for that. Again, arboriculture, landscape, irrigation. I believe that most of these devices are being used in the utility and construction. But as an arborist working hand in hand with some of these utility or construction companies, it's another added service that you could add to your portfolio. Environmental remediation, sinkholes, excavation, and believe it or not, a lot of these devices are on emergency crews that are used for cave-ins, underground maintenance, and they're on the site. It's easier to locate and extract someone from an accident with air. So great tool. Some of the market served. And here's some of the reasons why, as an arborist, that you'd want to do it. So if you look at the two pictures, and these are very, very common practices in an urban landscape. So sewer line installation. In a lot of your older communities, there's clay pipe from the house to the road. And these mature trees are right there. And when you break that sanitary line, obviously you have to get a backhoe in there. So regardless of, or depending on exactly where that clay pipe is or that underground sanitary line is, regardless if there's a tree there or not, they're digging it up. That's where you come in to locate maybe some of the large roots that are over top of this, and you can kind of clear the soil so the contractor can actually replace that without damaging the tree as little as possible. And if you look at the other picture, you can actually see where they just ran a trencher to put irrigation in. And we know that, yes, you can manipulate some of the roots to a certain degree, 10, 15%, but by running a trencher alongside of these big mature trees, they just shorten the life of those trees. They actually severed about 50% of the roots that feed that tree. So that tree is going to continue to decline and possibly get to the point where it'll be a removal. And here we are. So we came in, they asked us, they called, we did it. You can look at across some of these first two pictures is that they actually air excavated, found the root, and they actually pulled the lines up underneath, which is amazing and exactly what we need to do. The second picture, that line needed some repair. They located it. And look how intertwined that is in the root zone of the surrounding trees. And then the last couple pictures are like a root collar excavation, looking for girdling roots. So here's some of the pictures of things that have been done. A little bit of the device in operation. Again, tree's not growing right. This is probably just a demo tree. It looks like a little weed, but getting out there. And if you look right behind them, you look at the growing, the planting medium, the rock, the gravel, by removing that and maybe backfilling with something that's going to prolong the life of that plant. A very common practice of eliminating soil compaction is a root collar excavation. and they'll trench. It's called a hub and spoke radial trenching. They'll actually follow some of these mature roots out to the drip line by fracturing the soil. And then you're going to come back with some good topsoil, some organic compost to backfill. So that has the right medium to encourage root growth in a healthy tree. So a great process that people do to ensure, again, healthy soil, healthy roots, healthy tree. Some of the tools that we have, there's the product line, and there's a few others, but these are the most popular. The LT standard is the primarily what most arborists use. There's a high flow standard, which uses, we talked about 185 a CFM compressor to run this. The high flow standard is actually 375. So it's almost double the airflow. And I believe I have a video in here I can show where we took a stump out with the high flow air knife. The third one is the LT liquid. The LTL is the one that I enjoy using due to the fact that midline beneath the handle, they actually put a valve in there to we could add either water or we can vertical mulch with it with a liquid fertilizer. By using the air knife to fracture the hole instead of a drill or anything, we can fracture the soil and then backfill it with a nutrition or a soil supplement. And last, which is pretty amazing, especially if you're trenching, is our vacuum device. What it does is it takes that Mach 1.7 air and reverses the flow. I have a picture to show you that in operation. And there's a yellow, not an exhaust duct, but an removal tubing that you can either place under a tarp or to capture all of the soil that you're vacuuming out of there and put it into one spot. So once you do what you need to do, you can backfill with that media. Kind of some nomenclature and some of the better options on this is the first and foremost is the trigger assembly. There's a few devices on the market, and ergonomically, I feel that this is actually easier to hold on to for longer periods of time. You got a pressure gauge in the back that you can monitor at all times, but that trigger is actually a push versus a pull. Now, if you can think about the volume of air that's coming out the nozzle, it actually pushes the device back towards you. And if you haven't used one before, it'd be very similar to grabbing a power washer wand, where you get that kick and it wants to jump out of your hands. So what they did is to eliminate that, they switched the handle. You have a push handle. So the pressure from the compressor and the air out the nozzle pushes that back in your hand. It is very easy to hold on for the day. Lightweight aircraft aluminum barrel. A couple of the kits that we're developing for the industry has various barrel lengths, materials, and even a split shaft where you can break it down even smaller. The air knife kits are being developed right now, which is going to contain a case, a device, and a 30-foot hose. And it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to transport, store, and carry in the field. So look forward to showing you those kits very soon. So kind of here's a great picture of, we talked about compaction, and a lot of the research out there has actually shown that foot compaction is actually more damaging over a long period of time than vehicle compaction. It's because of the square footage of the foot platform, and the weight causes more compaction than driving over with a lawnmower or a pickup truck. So you're in a playground setting, so you got tons of compaction, but the arborist that's doing the excavation right here has actually noticed that near the surface, there were a lot of girdling roots. Now, if you look closely in this picture, you can actually see the original root flare, but because of a lot of issues in here, and I'm surprised the tree's doing as well as it is that those girdling roots are huge. And without being on site and seeing where the original root collar is, it'd be really hard to determine by this photo where I would start in removing some of these girdling roots. But that's another tool. Root collar excavation. What's going on below grade? The tree's just not growing as healthy as it should be. You've tried every other thing. You've noticed some girdling roots. Let's see the extent of it. This is a very highly prized plant because of where it's at. Pretty cool picture. Digging. Now here's one, prepping a hole for planting. Smart arborist installer put the plywood up. He's digging a hole. It stops it. It's fractured. So now it's all airy and loamy. So once he puts the specimen or the tree or whatever he's planting in that site, now we can draw that back. I'm not sure. A lot of you guys have planted trees in the past with just a shovel, which 99% of them, I hope, have taken and grew well, but you're putting back chunky clay, chunky gravel, chunky fill, and that creates a large airspace in that and can actually dry the roots out a little bit and cause some root death during planting. So by fracturing this soil, creating the hole and backfilling with that fractured soil, it's going to ensure a healthy tree for a longer period of time. So I like doing that. I think it's a great idea. And if you haven't tried it, let me know. We'll go plant something together. Here's our famous Dr. Don Grossman in our lab in Woburn, Mass. What he did is he actually fractured the soil around this tree in the lab nursery, and then he attached the vacuum, and now he's actually drawing all the soil, the loose soil from around this root zone for inspection. An amazing tool. And again, I think the price point is so appeasing that I think more and more people will start to actually do that. So again, something to check out. This is something I would be doing late in the season. One of the hard parts about this tool is actually owning the compressor. But most operators that use the AirKnife or the vacuum will sell the service for the late season, again, late season tool, and they'll rent it for the week and they'll get all their jobs done. So that would be our recommendation. Or if you have the compressor, you can pretty much do it any time of the year. So I'm going to attempt to play this video. So what we did is we were down at a demonstration down in Boone County Arboretum down in Kentucky. And after we did some root collar excavation, and it was amazing that the trees that we inspected down there, the arborist on staff was trying everything and just could not get these trees to rebound. So after we did the root collar excavation, very similar to what we did back here, we realized that these trees from day one, 20-something years ago, were planted a foot too deep. So there's already a secondary set of roots that were strangling the tree, and they never took the wire basket off, and that was cutting into the main stem also. So no matter what we probably did, or as much fertilizer, whatever we tried to do, because the physical damage that these things were doing, that we deemed that the tree was a removal. So we're like, all right, well, we have the tool. I says, what about removing a stump? So again, another tool in a job site, can't get the grinder to it, can't figure out what, smaller stump. So now you can actually excavate. And now I'm going to run this real quick and see how well it goes for you. So we have the compressor. This is one of our partners, Dave Leonard. This is at the Arboretum. So I'm going to get him to start it up. You can actually see right in the middle of the screen is the stump. And I actually put my GoPro. So my GoPro is set about 2 feet from this stump that he's gonna dig out for me. So I'm gonna take a quick drink. He'll be back in view. It's about 3 minutes. I'll kind of narrate as we go. As wonderful as I am on tech services, I couldn't get the air or the volume to work right for you guys. So let's just kind of watch this. Here he goes. What's interesting right there is because the volume of air that's coming out, you can kind of see him falling back a little bit. But because the difference in temp, you've seen the difference in color of the air. It came out so much cooler than the air that was out there that day. So here he goes. He's going to work his way down, and he's going to actually start looking. He's going to work his way. The pelting that the GoPro is getting is incredible. And if you were doing a root collar excavation and you didn't put up a barrier, it's amazing that the dirt not dirt, I apologize. The soil disappears. There's nothing to backfill. So if you're just doing a root collar excavation, instead of how do we pull the stump out? You might want to put a barrier up to trap a lot of that. So he's working his way around, digging down. Big chunks of dirt and clay and crud and rocks is all coming out. And it doesn't take him very long. And if you look real closely, you can see the actual volume of air that's coming out of that device. Probably about halfway through. Let me see. Where's my cursor? Yeah, we're going quick. Let me speed up a little bit just for. All right, he's still digging. He's down. What he's doing is what's nice about this the air knife is that you could actually, when you vertical mulch, or you could actually plunge it down to the depth that you want. So you can see, like, check out the air. You can see the air. Go a little bit quicker. So now he's almost got it all dug out. And the time on this video so far is probably about 2 minutes, even with me advancing it. The whole thing came out right less than 3 minutes. He dug this stump out. So he's getting close. Oh, you can already see now the roots are breaking off. Takes his foot, stumps out. And we examined that stump after we did it, and that was full of girdling roots too. So it would have been nice at the time of planting to fracture that all and make sure that the roots were pruned at the time of planting. So another application, fall application, and another great application for this tool. So I'm like, Dave, hey, so I'm gonna edit this in a minute, but then I said, hey, what about cleaning off my GoPro? And he did. So great tool, lots of uses. Reach out to us if you guys want a demo, or if you want to play it, or if anybody in the industry or industry peeps just want to put your hands on it and give it a go. So let us know. The next device that we have in our arsenal that we developed in-house due to a need in the industry. A lot of folks that have been in the industry for a long period of time remember the Curates, which kind of a standard of soil injection was bought out by Echo Incorporated, and they discontinued it. So we were kind of left hanging there with a quality tool to do soil injections. So it went to our research department, our Solero partners, and we created the AccuFlow soil injector ISD. It operates off of a Flow Zone Typhoon electronic backpack. What the great thing about this is that if you think about our quick jet air device and how accurate it is, it was very important to us to actually be able to accurately repeat a dose, even when we're applying in the soil. Low carbon footprint, the battery. I charged the battery up before my demonstration yesterday, and it's probably been a week or so since I used it, and it was still fully charged. It works phenomenally. The battery has a long life, easy to charge. The best thing is that this pump has variable pressure. When you actually put it up to 5, it will actually generate over 100 PSI to the soil injector, which is twice the pressure of a lot of the other soil injector devices out there, and easy to use. If you look on the very front of it, which is amazing, is that we're using hydraulic pressure to fill and to dose. And we can actually, that device that's circled is a hard stop knob that is designed to put it anywhere from 0. Why would you put it on 0? But 5 mil or 10 mils to 300 mils. Clamp it tight. When the piston is filling, it stops on that line. And then when you hit the lever, which is in the back, it toggles exactly what you set that at into the soil. That is as accurate as down to 1 or 2 mils of the total void. That's how accurate this device is. So again, precise, repeatable, accurate dosing was our goal. Kind of the back view. There's a real nice shroud that protects the pump, piston, and the valve and all the lines. Another amazing thing is how light it is, because the weight in the compound that you're applying is in the backpack with an amazing harness on your back, very comfortable. The device is only 11 pounds, which is, if you think about some of the other devices out there, it could be up to 30, 40 pounds in your hands. Very maneuverable, easy to carry, easy to move, and it is patent pending. So a really interesting device. It's amazing. I was playing with it again throughout the last couple months since we had it, and I truly, really like the ease of operation in this device. Again, there's the fill one way. It's really interesting. You had a fill, a neutral, and then an inject. And again, because we're using hydraulic pressure to fill and dispense, ergonomically, there's no pressure in your hand other than just holding the device upright and then letting the device do the injections. Got a little, when we put the shroud on, we actually put a little paddle handle down here for ease of carrying. We pretty much thought of everything. And let's see what else. Again, the Flow Zone Typhoon backpack. We went through a lot of them. We really tried. I've had a lot of questions. Can I just hook it up to my backpack? Because people have different type of electronic backpack sprayers. The answer is yes and no. We have to have, because the way we designed the soil injector, you have to have a return line. And the benefits of having a return line, because we're using hydraulic pressure to fill and dispense, is that when there's a return, when you're filling, it actually agitates the tank. So depending on what you're using, and one of the compounds that goes through this very well, it's nice to keep it agitated. A little bit more about the recirculating flow solution. And again, over 100 PSI into the soil. Another thing that we did to help with distribution is that a lot of your soil probe tips are 3 to 4 ports. What we did on this, which helps with not clogging as much, is that we have 6 ports in the tip. So it helps with ease of distribution of the compound in the soil. Little lance, kind of stick it in there to hold it upright. And this is new. We were listening to the field. We've had some requests for something a little bit higher volume. So we reached out to Flow Zone, and they have a 9-gallon roller tank. Higher, double the volume, with wheels, and designed to be easily maneuvered through the landscape. So instead of having to go back to the truck a few more times, you can actually stay on the job site out in the landscape doing your applications. So this is new. It's actually pretty amazing. The pressures and everything are the exact same as the 4-gallon backpack unit, but now there's a 9-gallon roller tank kit that is actually available now. So if you're interested in either one of these, make sure you reach out to your RTM or reach out to the office so we can get you a nice demo and you guys can play around with some of this stuff. Let's see my clicker. All right. So we kind of talked about the tools. The Air Knife, the Supersonic Air Knife, is incredible what it can do and do for your landscapes and for your trees. So again, late season Air Knife. We went over the AccuFlow soil injector, 4 and 9 gallon tanks. And now I want to talk about some of the stuff that we should be doing in the fall. And we know that nutrition, a lot of arborists prefer a fall application, and there's times for a spring application. So what we did is we sat down and looked at all the compounds that we had available to us and created the Arbor RX program. And it was designed to be a prescriptive fertilization and soil enhancement program. So a lot of times the soil has the NPK that it needs for that plant specimen, but a lot of times the soil is compromised. You know, we talked about compaction, but the second most leading problem in urban soil is actually the lack of organic matter. So with the lack of organic matter, it's kind of twofold of the issues. One, organic matter is a food source for the microbiology that breaks it back down to be readily available to the plant. And second, it has to get to a certain level of organic matter in soil for the cation exchange capacity to begin. So when you have urban soils where we're continuing to disrupt the natural cycling that was designed by Mother Nature millions and millions of years ago, we have to start addressing that situation. So we started off with a base fertilizer, our Arborplex fertilizer. And the reason we started off with that is that it was compatible with everything else that we're going to talk about. They're all liquid solutions, don't need mechanical agitations, and they're tank compatible for easy combinations. That's the cool thing about this Arbor RX program. So we looked at, we created a chart for you, and we looked at all the concerns that we could have in our soils. Just general maintenance, sandy soils, clay soils, compacted soils, all the way down to poor biology, iron deficiency, new planting or transplanting. So we looked at everything that we could do, construction damage. And we have a compound in the Arbor RX program that is specifically designed to address that. Again, Arborplex is our 1445, 50% slow release fertilizer is the foundation of this program. So why fall fertility? Obviously, we know that fertility replaces nutrients. And right now, as trees are starting to turn, or, you know, we talked about this in the past, they're not turning color. They're no longer producing chlorophyll, so their original color is showing through. But by your fall fertility or soil enhancement, you're getting the soil and the nutrients ready for spring growth. Gives the time until the soil freezes to help repair some damaged or stressed trees or roots, feed the microbiology. You know, even though the tree may appear to be dormant, the leaves may have dropped off, there's still a lot of things going on within that tree and the soil below the tree. So feeding microbiology for better spring uptake, inserting our regions throughout the country, managing the moisture, going into a dormancy to reduce winter desiccation, improved installation of installs. So if you're doing planting in the fall, this will help for leaf out in the spring. And one of the most important, which I wanted to talk about, is that, again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the webinar, is that even though we're always looking for more opportunity and revenue, spring is busy. Let's stretch out your plant and healthcare as long as we can. And now we got some things that we can be doing. So a revenue opportunity. A little bit about our Arborplex, slow release, 50%. consistent extended feeding, improves stress tolerance, vigor, and promotes balanced root and shoot growth. That's huge. You know, a high nitrogen fertilizer will push the balance of the root to shoot out, where this is a slow release, 14%, a little bit lower on nitrogen. Great product, and it's the base of the Arbor RX program. Next, we talked about the microbiology. So this is a carbohydrate, a molasses-based conditioner designed to stimulate biological activity. It's a food source. It's like candy to a kid. They need this in the soil. And a lot of the biology feeds off organic matter, but again, we already addressed that. There's a very low organic matter content in urban landscapes. So they don't have a lot to feed on. So we're going to give them something to use. Nutrient retention, heavy soils, mature, helping with mature trees entering senescence. Again, low CEC and low water holding capacity. This is a great product to add with or stand alone to address all these situations. Enviroplex, humic acid. We all know that humates are phenomenal for the soil. Nutrient availability, soil structure, carbon source. It's a liquid carbon source. It's a liquid organic matter source. And there's a lot of amazing things, helps with soil compassion, water filtration, anaerobic soils, toxic conditions from salt and chemical accumulation. So again, another amazing product that could be used alone, mixed with a few other products, or with Arborplex and applied to your landscapes. This is actually pretty interesting. I wanted to share this with you. By improving the soil health, one of our longtime employees, Rob, I had a Bartlett pear in his backyard and would only produce 2 or 3 pears. So after we designed the Arbor RX product, he was out playing around and did his application. And that year was the first year and ever since that tree was planted that it actually produced fruit. So instead of producing or not being able to produce fruit, it was in an environment that where it couldn't thrive. So by adding what it needed, that tree started producing fruit. And again, it happened again this year. So you can see the value of the Arborplex, the BioMP, and the Enviroplex that we just talked about. Iron Plus, Midwest chlorosis is a very prominent thing that we see on a day-to-day basis. So you could actually use this. We developed a product, which is a 1500, which is designed to eliminate chlorotic trees. This is an amazing product, Hydratane. Hydratane is a hygroscopic humectant that is designed to hold water molecules around the root zone and will not let them evaporate out of the soil. So we talk about certain areas in the country where drought. Again, this product was and is really more popular in turf, but through the Arbor RX program, we're realizing the amazing values that this adds to your tree care program also. Poor irrigation coverages, water restricted landscapes, dry spots, drought stress, and help with tree establishment and eliminate winter desiccation. So if you're in a situation where you can't get enough water to this tree going into the fall, this is a great thing to add to your fertilizer to help the overall efficacy of the fertilizer and maintain the soil moisture needed to go into winter. NutriRoot. NutriRoot is a phenomenal product which we designed for and gets used a lot in new plantings and transplantings. I just made a recommendation the other day to a contractor, was having a problem getting out to use his gator bags around the base of the tree. Why aren't you using NutriRoot? He's like, what do you mean? It says, well, it's going to eliminate the amount of times that you need to fill those gator bags because you're going to have the humectant in there that's designed to maintain soil moisture. So it's a great product for that, for plantings, And not just arboriculture, but your hanging baskets, your shrubs, your flowers, everything that you come into contact that needs a little bit of a boost in transplanting and throughout the entire growing season. So take a good look at NutriRoot. This would be something that you can apply right now into the fall. Cytogrow. Cytogrow is very interesting and has an amazing potential in the urban landscapes. And it's designed to help with root growth. So poor developed root systems or damaged root systems to help with, it's got a lot of the plant's natural growth hormones, cytokines, and auxins to help develop with root growth. And a really a neat product that you can use on damaged trees, construction damaged, just trees that weren't taken care of that you need to stimulate some good root growth. Obviously, healthy soil, healthy roots, healthy trees. So check out Cytogrow. C Extra, another neat product that we can add in there for a soil supplement, urea, potassium, kelp. I used a lot of stuff like this back in my day when I was doing compost teas. And a lot of thing with compost teas is sometimes it's hard to keep them consistent. So what we did is we created formulations for you that we can keep it as consistent as we possibly can for you to use in the environment. So C Extra. Another thing that we did, and this, I think this, out of all the things that we did with the Arbor RX program, and I think we're still on time, I'm looking at my timer, is that application rates. A lot of the compounds that we entered into the Arbor RX program came from a turf side, and a lot of the turf side was based off of area. And a lot of us old school arborists said, nope, you got to have it by DBH. So our research department took the time to develop a chart that has both area message. So if you're doing shrubs, it's a lot easier to do the square foot of the bed. Or if you're going to do a tree, we broke it down to how much you need of diluted solution per DBH inch. So we did the work for you on that also. So that is on a lot of our literature to help you get through determining how much you need to use to quote efficiently. One other compound that's being applied right now is our shortstop. Shortstop is the paclobutrazole. And we talk about shortstop, and a lot of you guys understand shortstop as a tree growth regulator, which it does. But I think we have to look past that just as a tree growth regulator. What happens is that by using and interfering and manipulating the tree's physiological process versus soil applied environmental process, we're restricting terminal growth. So you think about leaf growth and terminal growth. So what happens is that all the energy that the tree would need to put that terminal bud out or put that elongation out or the leaves a lot bigger, it takes the energy that it would use for that and puts it in other areas where the tree needs it, which goes down into the roots. So again, it's a great product for overall tree health, reduces drought stress, increases chlorophyll production. So there's a lot more overall health benefits than just controlling growth. Drought stress, it looks like the same thing, but the picture, if you look at the pictures, you can actually see the difference in the darkness, in the density, in the thick cuticle on these trees. And the thicker the cuticle is, the denser it is, the greener they are, the more chlorophyll that plant is producing, which is energy for the tree. So great product, and they're applying it right now for next year's growth. So another product that you could be looking into. Here's a slide that Kristen put together for me. I wanted to show you a little bit. And we talked about MinJet FE, our injectable nutrition, and in a combination with not only the iron for the chlorosis, but we also went ahead on this specific plant or the specific tree. You can see what a horrible site it is. Obviously, it would actually be a good site for the AirKnife to fracture the soil. but we also applied shortstop. And you can see within one season, the dramatic differences because of the application. All fall, these are June, but this can be done in retreated in December. But again, we could be doing this right now for next year's growth. Some of the marketing materials we'll kind of wrap up and have time for some questions, but we have an amazing marketing department. We've created a bunch of marketing materials ready and available for you to help you when you're explaining this to either your customers or the company or anybody else you need to. You can reach out to us, and these are all available for you to use in your sales program. And not only is the marketing department there for you, we got a great support team that is actually out in the field. As you can see, over the last 20 years, my territory has kind of dwindled because I get to go out and help everybody. We got reps all across North America, and it's not just trees and ornamental, but we have an amazing group of turf experts that can help you with some of our products that are designed for horticulture and landscape and turf care. So our number's down on the bottom, info@arborjet.com, or if all else fails, you can call me. We're busy, emails, texts, phone calls. If I don't pick up right away, keep trying. I will get to you. I love helping out, and that's what I'm here for. So I think we kind of ended on schedule. I'm going to ask Josh and Kristen to jump back on, and we're going to see if we have any questions.